guys, it's Amy at Zoe back, and I'm going to do my weekly reading update for April 18th, 2021. So this week was pretty long for me work-wise, but my reading was really good. I mean, I made some decisions about some books that weren't working for me, and then I kind of focused on books that were working for me, and one of them was just, especially one that was really well. So I'm going to talk about the books that I finished, the ones that I've started, or ones I'm kind of in the middle of. Actually, yeah, I started them a while ago, some of them. And then what I think I'm going to read in the next week, which again is a big question mark. I don't even know what I'm going to read later today. We'll see. So the first book I finished was on Monday. I finished the ebook, or the novella of The First Omega by Megan O'Keefe. So this is a dystopian, futuristic of the US where it's desert completely in the middle, and everybody lives on the east and the west coast except for people on the edges of society. And we have Riley, who's also called the Burner, and she tracks down pirates and people who steal from the truck lines that run around these rails that go from each coast. So she works for a company, and she is out there to make sure that if their property gets attacked or gets taken by a pirate, she tracks it down and then sends it back, or is able to pass it on. So she is sent on a mission, like she feels like any other. But when she gets to the site, she finds that a lot of the pirates are actually dead. And when she looks in the cargo she's supposed to pick up the cargo, she didn't know, but one of them there was two people who were the cargo, and one is left behind. And it is not, again, it's not super long, and it's, again, I'm not a huge dystopian reader, but I wanted to try her writing because I have her novel Velocity Weapon, which is science fiction that I want to get to. Again, I have so many books. Anyway, but this came out just I think 2 weeks ago or something. So it's really new. So it's, I mean, I think I pre-ordered it or something because I think one of my other writer friends had mentioned this one. So I pre-ordered it anyway to try it out. And overall, I really like this. Again, because it's short, it's like 96 pages. It wasn't super long, so it wasn't super in-depth, but there's a lot of stuff in here. Cool world building of this alternate or futuristic world. I hope it doesn't get like that. Anyway, and then the main character who we follow is Riley, and what she discovers about what is actually going on about this mission. And it went in directions I did not super expect. Like, there's one or two things that I was like, okay, I kind of saw that coming. Rest of them, no. I was surprised by the end on one major point, which I was kind of like, whoa, how she went there. And I liked it. So overall, it was a really good read. Again, it wasn't like over the top fantastic because it wasn't very long. So 96 pages, I think it did its job. I think it was a good story, a good standalone. I don't think I need to have anything else from this. It was a great story. I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad I took a chance and got that. Oh my God, start making noises out front. Sorry. And then so last Sunday I started reading. I did a buddy read with Tia at Tia and All the Books. We read Magic Bites by Alona Andrews. This is the first book in the Kate Daniels series. So I had read this. I actually read this in 2011. I thought I'd read it earlier than that, but during that period I was reading a lot of urban fantasy, so I don't remember when I started what series. I probably owned this when it first came out in 2007 or 8. I probably bought it around that time, and I just didn't get to it till 2011, which is typical of me again. So I didn't remember a whole lot about this. Again, as I said last week, I think I said, I remembered the very beginning premise of Kate is told that her former guardian has been killed, and then and that was about all I remembered. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry. Oh, okay, sorry. Anyway, so she I just lost train of thought. So again, the story follows her trying to figure out what happened to her guardian Greg, and again, it's a world where magic comes and goes, and the world is in flux. So you never know if you're going to need technology or you're going to need magic, and This creates issues for a lot of people, and then also all these supernatural creatures are around now, and it's she's a mercenary, so she's kind of on the edge because she could have gone into the order where, you know, there's more control, government and assignments and stuff like that, but she didn't like, she has a thing with authority. So she was a mercenary, but her guardian was in the system, and so she wants to find out, and, you know, find out who killed him. And so she gets wrapped up in she gets introduced to all these characters, and a lot of them she already knew, some she had never met before, and it just, she kind of gets to know all the power people in Atlanta. And so this was an okay urban fantasy book. I think it suffers from first book syndrome, where it tries to throw out all these different things, and we just don't have enough time. I mean, it's 260 pages. There's not enough time for us to explore everything. That is what the series is for, is to get us deeper into it. This book, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of questions still at the end. I mean, it wraps up as an urban fantasy normally does, with the primary mystery in this book is solved and what was going on. And then you know that things are going to carry on because now things have changed, because she's, her life's different now from when it started, like, you know, things have changed. And she's met people and things, now connections and different things. So again, I think it's a great first book for a series. I didn't enjoy it quite as much as I remember reading it the first time, but then I also didn't continue the series back in 2011 when there was a couple of books out already. So I have told myself I have to read the next book by the end of May. And then if I don't, well, then June I'd have to read the book. But my goal is to read it by May and then decide if this is a series I want to continue. I know a lot of people love this series. This is one of their favorite urban fantasy series. And I never got past this book. And it's really funny because I have the same trouble with The Hidden Legacy, which is also by Ilona Andrews. I've read the first book twice, really enjoyed it, and I have never picked up book 2. And I don't know what it is about that. I don't know if it's the books end in a way that I can just leave it and go and not continue, but I own the books. I should really try these series. So my goal is to at least read Magic Burns, hopefully by the end of May, and then see where I feel about this series. So I think Tia and I both felt the same about the series. I mean, it was a fine book, but it was like nothing spectacular. We're not quite sure why it's so beloved, but I think, again, it's a first book problem, as in, I think it gets better as they go. So that's at least what I've heard. So I really enjoyed this. I'm glad I reread it in order to try it again. And again, it's not my favorite urban fantasy right now. We're not even close, let's put it that way. But I'm willing to take another chance on the next book and see if it improves on me. I did like the main character. I do like a lot of the side characters. I feel like this book had a lot of characters for such a short book, but I liked it because for me, that's a huge world building plus. I like many characters, so that to me is not a problem. I know some people could have problems because of names all over the place, but I liked that. Anyway, I don't know. Anyway, but the point is that if I don't read the second book by the end of May, somebody yell at me, but I'm pretty sure I will. I'm gonna probably put it on my TBR just to make sure I read it, but as I said, I'm glad I read that, but, you know, it wasn't as good. Oh, I do want to say, I did read part of this. I did an audio and physical combo. I read it physically, the first part, and then it was so busy at work that I was like, I'm not going to be awake enough to read some of this at night. So I started the audiobook in my car to get me through to the end. And that really worked. That was Renee Rodman, I think is how she says her name. Anyway, I did enjoy that. So I haven't decided if I want to continue on audio. I have the first 5 books physically that I picked up used a long time ago. So they've been on my shelf this whole time. So I'm not sure if I'm going to pick up another audiobook. My library didn't have it. I actually owned the audiobook for this, and I don't know why. But I did. I must have bought it at some point on a sale. So, so I'm not sure if I'm going to go audio or just read the physical books I have. Anyway, I just want to put that out there because the audiobook was good. I thought it was fair. It was funny with all the accents, but anyway. And then I picked up a library book, which I probably, well, no, I picked up another book, but I'll get to that in a second. But I picked this book up from the library, and I don't remember who I don't know if I've actually seen anybody actually read this book. I've heard good things about it from people who got, like, I saw it on their channels, and I cannot for life of me, I went back and looked at Goodreads and see if there was somebody's review that I might have seen, or, you know, but I can't find anything. So if you know if it was you, that I watch you regularly, and then you read this book, then this might be because of you. But I got it from my library, and I'm so glad I did. And that is The Witch's Heart by Guinevere, oh gosh, I looked this up, Gornichek, I think is how the name is said. So this was fantastic. I am so glad I picked this up from my library. So this is a Norse retelling folklore, you know, of mythology, and we follow, oh, how did she say it? It's like, how would you say that? Boda? I'll just call her Boda because that's the nickname to her at some point. Anyway, but she, it starts off where she is been severely injured by Odin and the rest of the gods of Asgard. And so she is trying to recover, and she left her heart in Asgard because they tore it out of her at some point, and during their trying to kill her. And so she is trying to recover, but, you know, she's somehow alive without her heart, and Loki shows up with it. And it's kind of like, it's telling her story within the, you know, mythology. She, the author has taken parts from the Poetic Edda and the Prose Edda, and kind of mismatched some of the stories to make this story, which I thought was really well done. I mean, again, this is definitely a retelling in a way. It's not exactly, like, again, and none of those are exactly, because there's variations to all the tales. So, but she's used some of she's made them kind of all fall into this person's certain ones. And I thought it was really well done. In the back, she has a note on which story she pulled from this. And I don't know enough about this. I've never read the Poetic Edda or the Prose Edda, which now I kind of should. I've read a couple mythology books with Norse mythology, and I think I have another one or two on my shelf that I should get to. But it was one of those things where she did a really good job of that, I thought. So on retellings, that's always good for me. I wish I knew more about the source material. I've read just enough that I knew a lot of things that would pop up, but not everything. So, would have been probably more interesting that way. But anyway, this is such a good, like, I'm not explaining this very well. It's because I finished it late last night. I just wanted to get to the end to finish it. So we follow her and her relationships with the people who she does have interactions with. She lives in the Ironwood, and a place where nobody wants to live there because an old witch used to live there long ago. And so it's kind of, they think it's haunted, and it's pretty dead. And then, as I said, her relationships with the people are what makes this book, especially in the first half. Like, it was just so good. This book went in directions I wasn't expecting. I knew what the climax stuff was going to be, because that's kind of told kind of early. Well, not super early, but like midway, you know that's coming. This book made me feel like all the emotions. For me, it hit so many buttons for me, as in, it made me laugh because the banter between her and Loki is really funny, and some of the other characters I liked. It made me, I totally, halfway through this book, a scene happens and I just cried. Like, I was so upset for her and for the characters. It just hurt. So I had the whole ups and downs. To me, this was a great book. It was not perfect. There's a few points where I was like, well, yeah, that's okay. But really, I enjoyed this almost all the way through. It was so easy to read. I didn't have, I would just fall into it. Like, I didn't have to, you know, sometimes like I said, when you're like reading some other books, you have to kind of force yourself to read on a little bit. I sometimes find myself doing that. This book, I did not. When I would pick it up and actually read it, usually pages would slip by before I realized what was happening. It was such an easy read. It's like 350 pages. And then there's a little index at the back, so that's another 10 pages. But really, this book was really good. And I wish I could remember who, if I actually saw someone read this, or I just thought the premise was really cool about this witch, and then how it's all related with the Norse mythology. I thought this was really well done. I am gonna buy a physical copy as soon as it comes out in paperback. I don't want a hardback. I don't buy hardbacks very often. So I'll probably wait for that. But I am so glad I read this, and this was like totally a whim that I got it from my library, and I loved it. Yes, I should have read books that were on my TBR or on my physical TBR, but I just love this book, and I'm so glad that I took a chance and read it. And I wish I could remember exactly who made me, like I thought about it and then put it on my wish, or put on my library hold list. I don't remember, but it was really good. I'm really glad I read that. Anyway, so if you like that kind of stuff, you might like that book. I liked it a lot. And again, I said it was one of the better books I've read this year. I mean, I felt all the emotions for it, I have to say. So I like that. So then let's talk about my 2 DNFs. One of them was, I didn't come back to this. So the Half Stitch Amish Quilting Club by Wanda E. Brunstetter. So I read this for the Bitter Single Ladies Read Romance by that Angie at Literary Labors and Rainey at Rainey D. Reads puts on. I think their live show is actually today. Probably by the time you guys see this, it'll probably be too late. I think it's like 2 o'clock Eastern time. But I did give it a go. I read, what'd I say? 96 pages, and then I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. So yes, I DNF'd this. I officially DNF'd this. I'm taking it off my Goodreads. I'm just gonna get rid of the book when I can. I'm not explaining anything about it. Just, it was a DNF. I talked about that last week. And then the other book I DNF'd is kind of disappointing is, I don't know if you can see that. Can I? Nope, it's not gonna let me do that. I don't know how to do it on this, on my iPad, is make the screen go brighter or darker. I don't know how to do that right off the top. I'll have to learn how to do that. I just haven't done that yet. So it's Tim Winton's Island Home. I took it back to the library, so that's why I don't have my copy. I was just like, get it out of my house. It was due yesterday, so I went to the library with my brother. And yes, I picked up a few more books from the library, which, anyway. But this was for the book Naturalists pick for this month. That is Doris at All the Books and Heidi at My Reading Life. And this was also for Aussie April. Well, I've not read any Tim Winton. I do have Cloud Street on my shelf that I bought at some point. I had bought actually a copy when I was in Australia of Cloud Street, and I have lost it. I don't know if I let someone borrow it or I got rid of it at some point. I don't know what happened. But I bought another copy to read it, but I still haven't got to it. And I thought, well, I'll try Island Home, which is, it says it's a landscape memoir. And it is. I read half the book and I got tired. I can see why people would like this. There are some beautiful lines. He writes really well, don't get me wrong. And he talks about some really cool history things that I didn't know, because honestly, I don't know a lot about Western Australia. My friend lives on the east coast of Australia, so I've been to there twice, and I've been, I haven't been like a whole bunch. Like she lived outside of north of Sydney, and then we also went down, all the way to Melbourne. And so I only know like that area. Like that's the only part I've been to, and some of the stuff that I learned going through there. So I still have quite a bit of Australia to see next time I go, but which I hope to do at some point. But I've never been to the western side or know much about that. So that part was really interesting to hear about some of the history and the landscape over there, because I don't know a lot about Perth, or I think he also lived in Albany and some other places over there. Like it was interesting to hear about that, and how from when he was a kid, how things, like he grew up in a transitional neighborhood that was kind of close to the wilderness, and then how that over the years was developed in his lifetime. So it was just kind of like one of those things where I liked parts of it, but I got halfway through this book and I was just bored. And I think it's just, to me, it was just too long, and I just got to the point where I'm like, I don't care anymore. I think I got out of it a little bit. I enjoyed the parts I read, but I just didn't want to pick it up, and it was due back at the library, so I just took it back. So it's not like a DNF as in I hated it or anything. It was just more of a, I don't care anymore. And I got a little bit out of it, and I'm glad I read what I did. I decided not to finish it. So That's my other DNF. So, okay. So that's all that stuff. So the stuff I'm in the middle of, I haven't touched Dr. Thorne by Anthony Trollope, book 3 in the Barsetshire series, which I'm reading on Instagram with a group. I am way behind. We were supposed to check in, I think this weekend. We're supposed to be, was it 12 chapters in? I'm still I've only read 4 chapters, so I'm way behind. So I'm kind of coming to the conclusion that at the end of the month, I might be reading to the halfway point, and then at the end of May, finish it off. I'm not sure. I can't anymore read a chapter a day right now. Like or at least it didn't work this week when I had a buddy read going. It was just too much. And as I said, March was kind of straining me to do the chapter a day thing. So we'll see. I might pick this up. It's not going to be today. But maybe next week I will focus on it for at least a few days and try to catch up. Or at least get partway a little farther in, because I'm only 56 pages in. And it's like a 500-page book. So anyway, again, I'm not planning to finish that within April. That's supposed to be end of May. And then my audiobook, Turn Right at Machu Picchu, Rediscovering the Lost City One Step at a Time by Mark Adams. I'm listening to this on audio, narrated by Angie Garman. So I only listened to it a little bit, and then I switched over to Magic Bites on audio this week. So I'm hoping this week to make a lot more progress. What am I at? I'm at about 77 pages in. So I'm in there. I'm just not very far. And I said I'll probably have to renew this from the library so I can keep it a little bit longer, because I'm not probably going to make it this week. But I'm going to try to have this in my car. I think I do want to get through this, and I still want to do this for Invisible Cities because this is my Peru pick. I know it's not a translated work, but one I had on my shelf, or on my audiobook list that I already owned, that I just wanted to read. So I do want to get to that. And then I started, after I finished the first Omega, where did it go? Oops, that's not where I want to go. There we go. Oh, where's it? I started The Graveyard Apartment by Kariko Koike. I think that's how it's said. Translated by Brenda Bowler Boehm. So, this is a horror book that probably is a Japanese translated book. Again, you know me and my Japanese books. Anyway, so this is one I could not buy physically. The hardback was the only thing available, and it was so expensive. And I'm like, I'm not buying a book I haven't read for that much money and an author I haven't tried before. So this is a new one for me. But this follows a family who moves into an apartment building that is kind of like almost in the center, is like surrounded by a cemetery. So it's like 3 sides of it is like covered by the cemetery, and it has the cemetery and the temple and the crematorium. So it's like a busy like graveyard, and they're in Tokyo, but just a little like in one of the suburbs kind of thing. So they're not too far out. But it's a new building, but not very many people live there. Like I think they said like 14 apartments, but only 7 are filled when they move in. And so right away, the main female character does not like the area because of that, but that was the only that I can afford because I wanted to buy a house. They have their own backstories of tragedies in their life, and they're there with their 5-year-old daughter. And the first thing happens is their bird dies in like the day after they move in, and then some kind of creepy things start to happen with the kid, and because the kid says that the bird is talking to her after it's dead. Anyway, so, and again, it's a horror book. I've been wanting to read this for quite a while, and it's funny because and I don't know how to explain this. So again, I'm reading it on ebook, so it's kind of hard to tell, but it's like that. It does it by dates, like, so we're like just a couple of days, and then it'll be another week, and then So I'm not very far, I'm about 64 pages in. I think I'm not quite a quarter of the way through, so it'll be a while. This is the book that I read on my breaks on my Kindle, or mostly my lunch breaks. So it's going to be a while for me on this one. So I don't know if I'll finish it. I probably won't finish it by the end of the month. But so far it's good. It's not, I mean, it's still early, so it's not super creepy, but there's little things going on that you're not quite sure what's happening. So I am enjoying that. But that was kind of like, I didn't plan to pick that up, but I did. And it was a book that I bought, I think late last year. I finally just bought the ebook so that I would have it because I wanted to try it. So, anyway, so really quick, I don't know what I'm going to pick up today to read. I don't think it's going to be Dr. Thorne. I should. Maybe I will. I don't know. I haven't decided. But I have 3 books that are on my TBR that I really should read, since I've only read 1 book on my TBR, and then again, Dr. Thorne's was just to start, but I started it. I just didn't get very far. So I have 3 books. I would like to try to read another book for Aussie April, which is The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart by Holly Ringland, which is a story about a girl, I think, goes to live with her grandmother and who works with flowers, I believe. And so, but there's some traumatic stuff in her past. Yeah, I could tell by the first sentence or 2 of this one about that something was bad going on. I'm not sure. So I've heard... Again, this is Australian literature, so I'm hoping to get to that. I don't know. The other one I got is The Mountains Sing by, Nguyen Phan Kume. I think that's what it was. Anyway, so this is about Vietnam and a kind of generational book about the 1900s. So I'm not sure. It's not translated either, but it was the one I found that I bought last month, I believe. Or it came out in paperback. So, anyway, so it's about a family, I think. Yeah. So we'll see. It's, again, a generational one. I'm not sure how I feel. And then, of course, I have my fantasy pick of the month that I wanted to get to was Queen in Hiding by Sarah Kozloff. So, did I say this is for Invisible Cities for the Vietnam prompt? That's... what that one was for. And then this one was one I did the Tiny Decisions spin wheel, and this is the one that popped up, which is a book I've been meaning to come back to. I tried it from the library when it first came out, and then I didn't have time at that time. I read like the first chapter, and I'm like, okay, I want to read this, but I had to give it back. So I had bought a copy a while ago, and I really want to get to this. The 4-book series is complete and all out, so I can totally binge this if I like it, but I need to start it. So again, this is The Queen of Hiding. It's the first book in the 9 Realms series, and I'm hoping, so these are the books I want to get to by the end of the month. So today I'm probably going to start one of these. I'm guessing it's going to be this one. But we'll see. I might feel like one of these after lunch. I don't know. I have to do a few things here in the morning before I get to that. But I'm hoping to get to 1 or 2 of these before Sunday. Dewey's 24 hours happening on the 24th. I do this time want to participate. I missed it the last couple times, just things were going on, and I might vlog that, but I'm not sure. But I might pick up other books, some smaller books. I have a couple small books that I'd like to get to, so I might do that in that 24-hour period, because I think for me it's 5 a.m. on Saturday morning to 5 a.m. Sunday morning. So I'm not going to stay up like all night, but I might get up early and start reading, and we'll see. But, so I might be either reading these during that or maybe some other ones. So I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at on that. So anyway, that's all. I always ramble on. My little board, I get to mark a few things. So I'm writing down the 2 DNFs that I got because I hadn't marked that before. What else did I finish? I did a historical fiction. I'm going to count The Witch's Heart as that because there was magic in there, but it was historical. Go with it. I also started, even though Magic Bites, I'd read it before, I'm going to say I started a series. And I think that's it. I think that's all I finished. So, and I did a reread. Oh, bing. Anyway, so the board is not super marked up because I haven't read too many, but I did DNF a few. Anyway, so that's it. Tell me what you guys are reading, or if you've read any of these books, let me know. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.